Today, we are debating a bill that will have profound impacts on many in our community, the Aged Care and Other Legislation Amendment Bill. Now, this bill will make technical, transitional and consequential changes to support the commencement of the Aged Care Act from the 1st of November 2025. In speaking this afternoon, I would first like to commend my wonderful colleague, Senator Allman-Payne, and her incredible team for their work on this bill as the Greens Older Australians portfolio holder. And I echo the contributions made by Senator Allman-Payne in the debate to this point. Like the last aged care bill, it would be remiss of me not to raise concerns around the rather rushed legislative process of this government. The Community Affairs Legislation Committee inquiry into this bill, for example, allowed only 1 week for submissions. For individuals and for volunteer groups, 1 week is a very short period of time to give feedback on a bill that will have a profound impact on the lives of so many people. To me, it is deeply disappointing that the limited time for scrutiny for the inquiry has left much still unknown. It is clear that this government is not really any more committed to proper scrutiny of legislation in this term of Parliament than it was in the last. That said, the Greens do welcome some parts of this bill that seek to address community concerns, including providing more flexibility for people to access cleaning and gardening services by removing the ability for the rules to set up caps on such services. Rather wild that that even had to be done in the first place, but there you go. Also, many aspects of this bill make technical changes to the Aged Care Act of 2024 that are necessary to strengthen the proper functioning of Australia's new aged care system. However, the Greens hold some concerns which I will step through now. It is clear that the bill was made with the interest of aged care providers in mind. Aged care providers, rather than those older people in need of desperate quality care. Instead of ensuring that people in aged care are not facing unreasonable costs, this bill seemingly makes it easier for aged care providers to charge unnecessary fees and to add surprise charges, which does prompt me to ask the question why this government is enabling the fleecing of older people. The Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety recommended a new Aged Care Act. Particularly, it recommended that that Act should, quote, have the rights of older people at the very centre. And the Australian Greens do not believe that this has been fully realised in this bill. Now let me turn for a moment to the issue of young people in nursing homes. One aspect of this bill that is of deep interest to the community is how it chooses to prevent disabled people under the age of 65 from entering residential aged care. For years, young disabled people have been forced to move into aged care because there was nowhere else for them to live. Today, with the NDIS and specialist disability accommodation, there are more appropriate homes for people who are disabled. But there are still young people moving into aged care right now. Let me emphasise that. We have the solution to the totally unacceptable situation where a young person is forced to live in a residential aged care facility, and yet we continue to see this precise thing happen. The reason young people have had to enter residential aged care is because disability and health services do not work together, let alone work together in a timely way. Simply put, the government refuses to provide them with the disability support that they actually need. Last year, when the aged care bill was before the Senate, I shared my concern regarding the loophole in the bill, a loophole that allowed people under the age of 65 to still enter residential aged care. The government did not take the opportunity to close those loopholes, and they have failed to close it again here with this legislation before the Senate. What I don't understand is that this government talks big. We've had promise after promise. In fact, on their website, they state, and I quote, "We are working to stop younger people under the age of 65 from going into residential aged care." Yet when it is time to put pen to paper and amend the legislation, this government leaves the loophole wide open. This is an utterly shameful act by a Labor government, and it has real-world consequences. As of March this year, there are still 959 people under the age of 65 in residential aged care. We need the government to stop this talk without action approach. We need this government to get itself together, to take a whole-of-government approach, to once and for all put their money where their mouth is and champion the rights of young disabled people. This government needs to work in good faith with disabled people and with their advocates to ensure that disabled young people do not continue to end up in residential aged care, because the government has a responsibility to these citizens to ensure that the policies of this nation support their human rights. We cannot continue to have a situation where people fall through the cracks, slip through the safety nets, and end up in residential aged care as a young person. That is not right. I thought I'd share some words of a young person who has lived in residential aged care. And I quote, "Nursing homes for young people take away your self-respect and leave you where you can't make a decision. You are stripped of dignity." Think of that, being stripped of dignity and agency because the safety net let you fall through. Another person who lived in residential aged care for over 7 years shared that what they describe as their experience as, quote, "It's like being sentenced," because for them it felt like a jail. When someone is in residential aged care, they are not living amongst their peers. They cannot access an NDIS plan, nor can they access the support that comes with it. They are provided with the same support as an older person, which may not meet their individual needs. It is unacceptable that disabled people continue to fall through these cracks. And the government cannot claim it does not know, because, my Lord, there have been enough Senate inquiries and investigations and royal commissions that have found this exact dynamic, called out exactly these loopholes, flagged again and again that this is an issue. But because these young disabled people are structurally out of sight, they are apparently out of mind of this Labour government. Well, they are not out of the mind of the Greens. Those 959 people are on the minds of the Greens. They are on my mind every single day. It is disgusting that through a lack of intellectual engagement with the potential flow-through impacts of your legislation, you have allowed this loophole to continue. It is completely unacceptable. And while we are discussing this Aged Care Act, I would also like to remark how unacceptable it is that the NDIS has an age limit still of 65. Currently, once someone turns 65, they are no longer eligible to apply for NDIS support. even if they have had types of disability support before then. Many disabled people who are over the age of 65 would benefit massively from the NDIS. Right now, many Australians with significant disabilities are forced into the My Aged Care system, which is ill-suited to meet their needs and often requires them to sacrifice their independence. The Bonner-Haidey-Paul review of the NDIS recommended for this to be changed, and yet, what have we seen from this government? Crickets. The government should work to ensure that the NDIS is available for all people who need it, regardless of their age. To do any less is discriminatory. There are so many issues present in this bill, a bill that will affect the lives of millions of Australians. The Greens once again urge the government to work in good faith with older people and their advocates to address these issues. I would like to foreshadow a second reading amendment in my name and a second reading amendment in the name of Senator Almond Payne. In the 8 years that the people of Western Australia have seen fit to send me to the Senate, there are certain issues that have come up again and again and again. Certain topics of inquiry that you see different MPs take on, the evidence is gathered, the submitters give evidence, the reports are created and delivered to government, and yet there is a failure of action. This is always, to me, and always to the community, a deeply frustrating dynamic to witness play out. But where it gets me most, and where it gets people in the community most, where it elicits that deep anger, is when there are policy areas, when there are changes needed, where the solutions are known across the chamber. They are known across the chamber, and yet nothing changes. Doesn't matter which colour the Prime Minister is, doesn't matter, red team, blue team, nothing changes. And this is one of them. Young people in nursing homes in Australia is something that has been spoken about in this place since the moment I arrived. Governments have made statements, ministers have issued press releases, patting themselves on the back as the number has gone down, committing to action when the number goes up. And yet here we are in 2025. Here we are in 2025 and 959 young disabled people are still living in residential aged care. I ask anyone under the age of 65 in this Parliament, would you like that? Would you like to be in residential aged care? Under the age of 65, there not because there wasn't a program, an alternative, somewhere that could give you individualised support. No, there because nobody in the positions of power paid for by the public purse can be bothered to get to work on what they perceive as a complex niche issue. Do you know what? It's not that complicated, actually, if you sit down and read the reports. These are people who are within institutional settings, and they've been placed there because government services failed to stop them falling into those settings, or placed them there in the first place many years ago. Those people in those settings often become institutionalised. And so what is needed to support them to move out of those settings of institutionalisation is in-reach work, is deinstitutionalisation, programs of deinstitutionalisation. It's not complicated. There are global examples, there are national examples of what deinstitutionalisation, in-reach work looks like. You sit down with somebody, you take the time, you make the plan, you support them to move. We can do this. Morally, we must do this. We can't be here for another decade and still have the best part of 1,000 people in
Thank you, Senator
institutions where they should
Steele-John.
never have been in the first
Senator
place.
Collins, you.
Authorised by J. Steele-John, Australian Greens, Canberra.